guys, so it's me Alexis. Welcome to my astrology channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Venus in Aries. So before I go ahead and do that, I just want to let you guys know that this is the first video in a new series where I pretty much cover all of the Venus signs. My last series was about the moon signs. If you guys haven't seen that yet, I'm going to go ahead and link the playlist below so that you guys can go ahead and watch that. And after this video is posted, I will post a poll so that you guys can kind of vote for the next Venus sign. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and talk about the Venus in Aries. So when it comes to Venus in Aries, I just want to let you guys know that Venus is my chart ruler and my Venus is in Aries. So Venus in Aries is by far the most important planet in my chart. So, hopefully I know something about this placement. But yeah, as always, I'm going to go ahead and break down this placement. So Venus is the planet of connection, the planet of beauty, love, relationships, anything that kind of this looks sexual, but anything that kind of, things that kind of stick together. You know what? Venus can represent sex too, okay? Yeah, this is actually pretty sexual. But yeah, so Venus is the planet of love, beauty, relationships, sex, stuff like that. And then with Aries, Aries is a fire cardinal sign. So when it comes to Aries, you have a very initiative, very straightforward, direct sign. When it comes to Aries, they kind of like to take things straight. They don't like complications. They are very independent and they like to assert themselves. And because of that, they can be kind of pushy, kind of bossy, pretty annoying, but at the same time, they can be endearing. They can have a nice childlike quality that is very hard to see nowadays because, the world sucks. And for Aries, there's also this very independent, very self-sufficient quality. And Aries can probably survive by themselves if they could. But they're also pretty impulsive. They're also very reckless. But at the same time, they'll always take it for the team. They're always going to be the signs with, one of the best or the most courage. So yeah, that's pretty much Aries in a nutshell. And then there's Venus. Now I gotta put the two together. Now Venus does not actually do so hot in Aries because, Venus likes to connect things. Venus likes things to, feel good. When it comes to connection, it shouldn't feel painful. There shouldn't be any friction. It should be nice and smooth, and there shouldn't be a lot of conflict. Now, Aries is like the embodiment of conflict and war and everything that's not Venus. And because of that, Venus is in her detriment when it comes to Aries. So because of that, Venus kind of feels uncomfortable. She kind of sees the Aries energy and she's just kind of like, I don't know how to utilize you to help me achieve her goals, because Venus's goal is to connect things. Aries, on the other hand, they're a lot more likely to kind of separate things, to be independent. And when you mash the two together, it's kind of like, it's like, ew. So yeah, that's Venus and Aries, ew. Anyways, when it comes to love, let me kind of do 3 points. Characteristics of an Aries Venus, how to get one to fall for you, and some love advice if you're an Aries Venus. When it comes to an Aries Venus, when it comes to relationships, they don't want things complicated. If you're complicated, you're annoying and you're out. I say that personally, and I think that's a pretty Aries Venus thing. When it comes to relationships, they don't want things to be very complicated. They want things to be clear. Things shouldn't have to be complicated. So when it comes to miscommunications, when it comes to partners that don't really speak much, when it comes to partners who don't go out of their way to make things clear and straightforward, that would drive an Aries Venus pretty mad. Because when it comes to relationships, they're like, hey, I want to know what you want. I want to know what I want. We're going to work together and get there together. It should be from point A to point B. And it shouldn't be that complicated. Now, the good thing about this is that with an Aries Venus, it's very hard to not figure them out. They're so easy to figure out. They're also really easy to read, especially if they like you. If you're wondering if an Aries Venus likes you or not, they probably don't like you unless their Venus is somehow aspected in such a way where they're secretive. But it's really hard to not know if an Aries likes you because they are so painfully obvious, and it's kind of annoying, but at the same time you never have to guess. And because of that, when it comes to the love that an Aries Venus can give, It can be very raw, very passionate, very genuine, and very just, I mean, like super straightforward. Like you get what you see. And because of that, like, you know, an Aries Venus, they probably can't keep a secret from you even if they try to. Now, when it comes to, you know, pursuing an Aries Venus, like, I think the best way to attract an Aries Venus is to be, you know, self-sufficient, independent, and strong. But it depends on the Aries Venus, because if the Aries Venus is, you know, secure and they're, you know, not insecure, they're gonna like you if you're confident and strong on your own. But one thing that I noticed with Aries Venuses is that if they're not confident and if they're insecure, they'll try to go for partners that are not as great as they are, and they'll partner up with them because, you know, in that way they can be like the alpha in the relationship. I feel like an Aries Venus, like when they're insecure, they want to be the alpha in the relationship. They kind of want to control everything, and it could be for better or worse, because, you know, when it comes to an Aries Venus, they are going to be the ones who are going to make all of the plans. They are going to initiate everything. They are going to make all of the efforts. But sometimes if they're insecure, they may not trust you to make effort in the relationship, and then they can also get frustrated. So it's kind of like, it kind of depends. Now, if the Aries Venus is very confident and very secure, they want a partner who is just as confident and independent as they are. They like a person who is driven, a person who is passionate, a person who has a goal and a really clear way to get there. They really don't like people who have a lack of direction, people who are kind of complacent, and people who are too scared to get out of the comfort zone. When it comes to an Aries Venus, they're very ride or die. They're, I mean, for them, it's like you either die with me or you die by yourself, because for an Aries Venus, no matter what happens, they're gonna live either way. And I will say that for those with an Aries Venus, they are, I mean, one thing that they think about is that no matter what happens, they're gonna, you know, survive. And whether they're with someone or not, it would be nice to have someone with them, but for them, they're gonna survive no matter what. So some love advice if you're a Venus in Aries. This is also some advice for me. So, you know, if you feel attacked, I'm attacking myself too. So we're gonna hurt each other. We're gonna hurt ourselves, like, together. So, number one thing, not everything in a relationship can be clear. Like, personally for me, I always want to know everything about what's going on. I get really mad when things are really ambiguous, and I get really frustrated if things aren't figured out right away. When it comes to conflict management, we can't expect everything to figure itself out right away. Sometimes, you know, some conflicts need some time. Sometimes we need to think things through. So when it comes to relationship issues, we can't expect our partner to fix or think as fast as we do. We gotta, you know, take our time with them. We're supposed to be together with our partners, right? We shouldn't be getting ahead of them. So that's probably one of the first pieces of advice that I would give if you're an Aries Venus when it comes to relationships. The second thing is, you know, you gotta be honest with yourself. If you're being with someone just because you can kind of, you know, assert your own control and kind of feel like, you know, you're something, I would say, like, you know, you might want to question your stance on relationships, because to be quite honest, when it comes to relationships, sometimes there are some inner motivations that people can have for better or worse. And I think for an Aries Venus, if they're not careful, and if they're insecure and not really confident in themselves, they can kind of choose partners where they are not really desirable, they're kind of complacent, you know, they're stuck in the comfort zone, and you choose those people precisely because you feel like you can control them and kind of do your own agenda and being the controller in the relationship. And I don't think that's a really healthy dynamic. And because of that, when it comes to relationships, I think it's so important for an Aries Venus to be confident and to, you know, be secure in themselves, because if not, they're going to assert themselves in ways where they're a little bit controlling and a little bit bossy, and that's not going to make a relationship very enjoyable. Now, the last thing is that this might be the hardest thing for you guys to kind of take in, but, you know, don't get discouraged if your partner doesn't ride or die with you. For you, when it comes to relationships, you're going to be, because you're so strong, because you're a survivalist, because you're so independent, it's going to be really hard for you to find a partner that's going to stay with you for long. Most people that'll date you, they can't take you. They're just like, oh my god, this person, they're going through it. I'm too weak to go with them. If you feel discouraged when people leave you, or if you feel discouraged when you feel like, you know, you're not likable enough because people just keep on leaving, I think for you, whenever people leave, you may feel like you're not desirable. You may feel like, you know, maybe you have to tone yourself down. One thing I would tell you is that for you, the ultimate partner for you is someone who is very strong. You need a strong person to be with you because you are a strong person. You can't stay in a relationship with someone who's weak, a person who can't, you know, ride with you. Literally, they either ride with you or they die. And you can't get mad at them when they're too weak to stay with you. And honestly, with the way you are in relationships, it's a good way to filter out, you know, the good versus the bad partners. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my take on the Venus and Aries. This is a very interesting video to make because, like, while I was, like, you know, talking about the placement and, you know, like, the things that you guys need to know about, I was kind of thinking about myself, and I would say that if there's one thing that I would tell to any of my Venus and Aries people out there, it's that, you know, love doesn't have to be all pretty with sunshine and rainbows and all of that. Love can be spicy, and it's okay to want love to be spicy. That's when love gets interesting, okay? Don't feel ashamed for wanting a love that has a little bit of friction, a little bit of spice, and a little bit of comfort. Sure, it's a little hard when it comes to functioning, but hey, nothing ever functions perfectly here, so yeah, that's pretty much it on my take on the Venus and Aries. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week with another video. And also, don't forget to vote in that poll. So yeah, see you guys, and yeah, bye! I keep on trying to say, like, I keep on saying bye, like, repeatedly, and I don't know how to end this video. Okay, officially, this is it. Bye.